Hello, my beautiful friends. I'm your host, Leah Rolling.
And I'm Cari Kenzie. Welcome to Shift Happens. Discover the leader within. This podcast is designed to disrupt the way you live, lead, and love. At Shift, we challenge traditional narratives and believe that inner wisdom is the key to every decision.
Are you ready to explore a new paradigm of both living and leading? We'll dive deep into our innate strengths as women: compassion, curiosity, intuition, grace, vulnerability, and love. The shift, it's about to get real. Rediscover the power within and transform your life. Stay tuned. It all starts now.
Hello, dear friends. Oh my gosh. Super excited, as always, to have you joining us on Shift Happens today. I am Cari Kenzie, and we are here with Leah Rolling. Oh my gosh, we've been talking about this modern culture, and we really introduced this to you a couple of weeks ago, it feels like. This is something that has been in our purview, in our ecosystem, in every essence of our being for months. And so to have the opportunity to finally bring this forward and to bring it into a full conversation is just, oh my God, it's refreshing. It feels like coming home to everything that we've known and everything that we have efforted to be in this world. And what it is that we so deeply desire to share. So as we continue in that conversation, we really wanted to bring forward today this second principle, we're going to call it, and it is around unlearning. And I'm going to put it as unlearning before I'm going to put it as continuous learning or continuous growing. The reason why I say that is because I don't think that we can continue to grow until we unlearn the things that we have known. And when I say unlearn the things that we have known, I really mean everything that we have been taught as a society, as a culture, as it pertains to success, how to show up in the world, how to be a leader, what it means to lead, I guess. There's been so much that has been laid upon us. Seriously, you guys, just go look in the dictionary if you want to look up any word, and it's going to continuously place power and authority outside of yourself. Mm-hmm. This is what we've been taught. This is what it's been meant to be a leader, not just in the having everything outside of self, but also in taking everything outside of other people and not cultivating who they are internally. And the success is always the external measures. Right? So we really wanted to bring forward this idea of unlearning, what it means to grow, what it means to redefine that through reflection, and then how it is that we have the ability, the potential, and what it is that we need in order to be able to do that. Leah.
Yes. Yeah, it's just like with so much that we teach, most of it is unteaching. Most of it's just being willing and open to being wrong about everything. I find for me, when I can step in and invite myself into that space, and you're going to want to resist it because your brain, right, wants you to continue to evolve. And the way that it thinks that it's best to continue to evolve is do exactly what it did yesterday. Mm-hmm. And in order for it to do what it did yesterday, it has to believe the same things. It has to do the same things. It has to feel the same way. It has to show up the same way. It has to have the same similar behaviors and the same similar identity. Mm-hmm. And so whenever you question the identity, right? Because sometimes we don't know the difference between, and we don't separate out our mind from ourself. So when we become the mind, right, it's really hard to separate out thoughts because we think that our thoughts are facts and they just are the representation of what is. Mm-hmm. And to challenge that is to challenge our very existence. Mm-hmm. And so this unlearning seems simple enough, but we're going to invite you that it's going to require a lot of courage because you're not going to want to do it. You're going to want to resist it because it goes and butts up against everything that you've ever known, which means that everything that you've ever been.
Yeah.
And we want to invite you to something that you've never been.
Mhm.
So that is kind of what we're thinking about as it relates to the second principle that we're bringing forward in the modern culture, which really is to learn constantly, and to make, growth, and learning a way of life, a daily way of life, a daily practice. But we're coming into this with the way we do most things is kind of disruptive in nature, and we're going to ask that you unlearn. So my question back to you, Miss Cari, is what do you believe are some of the biggest, like, thoughts, feelings that either need to be unlearned, right, or need to be explored in order to do this work?
There's two things that come to mind. And I think the first one is that imagination and creativity are not good things. They're distractors,
Mm,
right? And when you think about that, even as a kid, we were taught that you're making it up. You're just imagining it, right? It's a waste of time. Come back to the real world. Focus on what's important. Focus on what's right in front of you,
mm,
right? It's kind of that old remember the connect the dots in order to create the picture, right? You had to connect the dots in a very particular order, the way that was set out for you in order to receive success on the
mm,
back end, right? If you follow these dots, if you follow the lines, if you do exactly what we've told you to do, the picture will be created for you. And that's
mm,
so unfortunate. It's so unfortunate, right? Because the only thing that you're creating is the picture of somebody else's mind.
mm,
The only thing that you're doing is living somebody else's expectations or experience. That creativity, that imagination is the wisdom that lies within you that's efforting to be seen. Learning, we also have been taught, is something that we need to go to school for.
mhm.
Learning is something that I need to gain knowledge from you. You have the answers. I don't. And the only way, again, that I can get to that right answer is by doing exactly what you've told me to do. Even in math, it drives my kids absolutely crazy. I've got kids who are just brilliant in math, and it makes them nuts because they have to write down every single step of the math problem exactly the way the teacher has taught them to solve the math problem. And that's not the way that they solve it. They
Mhm.
will come to the right answer. They will come to the same conclusion. They just do it in their own creative way because that's how their minds operate. But we're told that that's not right. That's not good. And that we have to learn from other people. Anytime we do that, we take permission away from ourselves to be the brilliance that we truly are. So I guess when I look at this unlearning, I look at it as we need to unlearn that everybody else has the answers, that there's a right way to do it. Because the only way to do anything that's going to be of meaning, that's going to make impact, that's going to create success within you is the way that you do it. It's the way that you devise that creative, imaginative, like brilliant way of showing up in the world. I don't know if that answered your
It
question,
it
but those
does.
are
It
the
does.
things that came to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so with regards to all of that, which is so great because you're right, we have we have delegated even decision making
Yes,
to
we have.
other people, right? Like we make decisions by committee, right?
Yes.
What do you think? What do you think? And what do you think? And somebody else must have the answer to this
Hmm.
decision because
Hmm.
one, we've placed a right and wrong to a decision.
Yep.
And two, if if we don't make it, right, then we can excuse ourselves for making a quote unquote wrong one. But more than that, it's they must have the right answer. Like they must know. And it can become very confusing when you have a bunch of committee members that offer up different opposing
Hmm.
decisions. Then what do you do?
Hmm.
Then what do you do?
Well, and what's interesting in it is when you're looking for that opinion, I don't know, I've
Mhm.
done this before myself, so I'll put myself out on the chopping block here, but when I go looking for somebody else's opinion, I'm only looking for validation for what it is that I already think. Have you ever found that? I mean, at
Yes.
least for me, like I'm going
Yes.
out to look for validation, and then when they don't validate, then I think that I'm wrong, and then I go with their
Yeah.
decision. It probably wasn't the right one for me. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, all the time. And it probably happens with clients too, because they're like, I really think that I should have this conversation. It should maybe go something like this. And I don't know, like, what do you think? Right. And like, so you're asking me for permission. If you're asking me for permission to have the conversation, then yes. What you say, you've got it. You just needed permission. You just needed, that validation. And that goes down another rabbit hole about seeking external validation, seeking external encouragement. I was working
Mm,
with a client just last night, and she was working with somebody or talking with somebody in her group that needed constant encouragement. And she's like, and I do encourage him. It feels like it's just not enough. And I told her, no amount of external encouragement will ever be enough. Will ever be enough because until he can get to a place where he actually believes it from within, that he's worthy, deserving, what have you, of the encouragement that's given, he will
mhm,
reject it and he will
mhm,
always need more. And it
mhm.
becomes this constant struggle. And so she was just like, well, no wonder. No wonder, because I try to tell him, that he's great and he's awesome and to keep thinking and to keep trying and to keep efforting and all of these things. And it's just one in one ear and out the other. And like literally, yes, that
Mhm.
is the flow.
And you know what's interesting about that too? What comes to mind is as leaders, I don't know how many times you've had somebody on staff who said, I don't feel appreciated. Or even you as the leader, you're like, gosh, I just don't feel appreciated. But you know in your mind that you've done that, that you've been that encourager. Like you've been the one who's like, oh my gosh, you've got this, you're amazing. And then they come up, they're like, I don't feel appreciated. You're like, oh my gosh, I feel like all I do is encourage and appreciate. And you're right, it's in one ear and out the other. Why is that?
Well, because if you don't believe it for yourself, you're going to
Yeah.
reject the belief. Because we go back to the brain and the brain science, right? The brain doesn't care that you need encouragement. The brain doesn't care that you need validated. The brain only cares that it continues to keep pace and believe in what you believe in.
But I want to be validated, Leah. But I
Yes.
want, do you know what I mean? Like this is what
Yes.
but Leah, I want to feel appreciated. That's all I want. I just want to feel appreciated.
hmm
I
So,
just,
yeah. So then the question is, what would appreciation feel like? How do you want to feel?
yeah,
Right?
right? Yeah,
Right? And
thousand.
then, and then you know that the only way you're going to feel that way, the only way is to think that way and to believe that way.
Mm,
So we reject it because we don't understand it, and it butts up against what we believe in. If we do not believe we're encourageable, if we don't believe that we are appreciatable, right? Then we will reject it because we're not able.
yeah, yes. Which just goes back to that unlearning again.
Yes.
It just goes back to that, the things that we have been taught somewhere along the way, you felt like it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Right? Somewhere along the way, you reached a level of success and you didn't feel like it was appreciated. You didn't feel like you were seen in it. You crossed the finish line and felt like there must have been another one that you needed to cross in order to feel the validation for all the work that you put in.
Mhm.
Right? So we've got to understand where that mindset comes from so that we can truly begin to understand and, I don't know, appreciate the success and the achievements and the accomplishments that we've had.
Yeah.
Because if we don't see those accomplishments within ourselves, if we don't celebrate them for us, we will never, ever see them for somebody else.
Yeah. And we have to unlearn that the one thing that we've been taught, that you set a goal or you accomplish something, and when you do that, you will feel better. It's
That's
not any better there than it is here.
Leah. But yes, it is. No, right? Whoever crossed a marathon finish line and thought they felt better at the other side of it? Nobody
Yes.
ever.
Nobody.
Right? You're right. Because you do. It's like for a hot second, you're like, whoo, I did it. What's next?
What's next? Right?
What's
Because
next?
fill, that did
No.
not fill whatever emptiness, whatever void you were trying to fill with something outside of you, like finishing a race. We get this all the time with weight loss. Like
Yes.
people will finally like lose all of the weight. And I tell you every single time, not one time, unless they were doing the work along the way, did they say, God, I thought I would feel different. I
Hmm.
thought I I thought I would be more confident. I thought I would be more proud. I thought I would be more happy. I thought I would have more joy in my life. And and then we're reminded that results don't create feelings.
Mm.
Results don't give us a feeling. Results just give us more things to think about. And
Totally.
if right, and if that result does the result also doesn't give you that belief that you're enough, right? So if you're constantly butting up against this not enough conversation, this not
Hmm.
enough dialoguing, no result is going to give it for you. That's an inside job. It's a choice that you get to claim. And we kind of touched upon that in the authenticity conversation that we had last week. But these are the things that we must unlearn because you can't begin to learn, right, what you already think you know, right? So if
People
you're,
don't
yeah,
teach you that. People don't
no,
teach you that,
mm-mm,
right? And
mm-mm,
it's not even that anybody is ever going to be able to teach you that. Nobody can ever come to you and teach you any kind of limitation within you without you seeing it for yourself first. One, right? Nobody is able going to be able to come forward and tell you, like to be able to see that thing within you. You know why you want to feel appreciated? Because you don't appreciate yourself. Nobody is ever going to tell you that because you're never going to believe it. That's something you have to discover for yourself.
yeah,
The biggest job in this unlearning and this relearning is the listening to the self.
mhm,
It's the understanding that absolutely everything around you is your teacher. Everything around you is the curriculum for you to be able to learn from. Not necessarily from the words that somebody speaks to you, right? Not necessarily from the, this is how you do it, ABC, the strategy that they lay in front of you, because everybody's going to give you a strategy all day long, right? That's just going to show you how to solve the math problem that they want you to solve in the way that they want you to solve it.
yeah,
But what you need to do is to understand that I can see that for you, but I need to trust the creativity in me to be able to find my own answer, to be able to discover my own path, to not have to go 1 to 50 in the order that you gave me. I want to zigzag and go all over the place. But nobody teaches you that the lessons that you need to learn, the learning that needs to occur is the only learning is going to be within you. And it's going to be through those situations. It's going to be through those thoughts and those feelings and those motions that you peel away,
mhm,
that you start to question. That's the thing that you need to ask, not of the people around you. I don't need to come to you and to 4 other girlfriends and be like, oh my gosh, what do you think I need to do? I need to sit in a quiet moment. I just worked with a gal on this last night. I said, here's what I want you to do. Anytime you feel like you've got to make a decision, and your brain starts ping ponging in all the different directions because you're fighting yourself, right?
mhm,
You don't
mhm,
trust. You're trying to go after, you're trying to find the resource or the solution that somebody else gave you. Is I want you
mhm,
to sit and I want you to close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. But while you're taking these 3 deep breaths, I want you to focus on that breath. All I want you to think about is that breath. I want your whole intention to follow that breath into your heart. And then I want you to release that breath. And after you've done that 3 times, I want you to ask yourself the question that you've been trying to solve. And I want you to tell me the very first thing that comes up. And immediately she got the answer that she'd been fighting for. Immediately, because she quieted all the girlfriends, she quieted all the teachers and her coaches and the teammates, and she was able to get with the self,
mhm,
the person.
mhm.
So to me, that's like, my gosh, all of the unlearning is everything exterior to come back to the wisdom and the learning within.
Yeah. Well, it's so awesome because you must have read my mind because I was thinking my question back to you would be, okay, our listeners are listening. Like, what is it that they can do? What is it that they can do to one, invite themselves into the wisdom that is held
Mhm.
within them? And so you answered that beautifully by offering up whatever is going on in your mind, whether it's a decision or a conversation or an opportunity. Can you quiet the mind, close your eyes, right?
Mhm.
To get you out of a fight or flight, to get you out of sympathetic and into a parasympathetic state where you can access
Mhm.
your truth. Not the girlfriends, not the cousins, not the committee members and the coaches and all that,
I'm
but
hanging
your,
out.
but your truth, your truth. And the other thing is you were talking the a client yesterday even was offering up because she's going home for the holidays
Yeah.
and
Oh,
every ounce of her wants to confront in-laws
Oh.
because of how she has felt wronged and how there has been an injustice that
Mm.
she feels needs to be confronted. And again, when Cari and I bring this forward with our clients and all of you, it is through massive amounts of love, massive amounts of compassion, and challenging you always into that next version of yourself, right? That more empowered version of yourself. Because the confrontation didn't need to be had with the in-laws. The
No.
confrontation was with herself.
Mm.
Why is it that she felt there was an injustice? Why is it that she had felt that she was wronged? And why does she continue to wrong herself in that injustice?
I just had something else like drop in as you were
Yeah.
talking through that. At what point did we learn that words were truth?
Mm. Comes to
Like,
me. Yeah. I don't think I don't think we ever learned that they were truth or not truth. I just don't believe we ever questioned it.
because when you say that, right? And what was coming to me as you were talking through, you and I have had these conversations before, right? Because we are consistently unlearning
Yes.
daily. We're unlearning. And so benefit is that I can call Leah in the morning, or Leah can call me and be like, okay, this is what I heard. I don't know that it's what you said,
Huh.
but this is what I heard. And that came to me when you were talking through with this gal, right? And the judgment or the injustice of the in-laws, of how much of that, and that's where, when did we believe that words were truth?
Yeah.
Because what she heard may not have ever been what was said, which
Hmm.
is a crazy, absolutely crazy thing to even comprehend, right? What she heard may not have been what was said. It was her interpretation of
Always.
the energy that was placed between them based on where she was at and the judgment she was feeling of self in the moment.
Yes.
But words aren't truth.
Mm-mm.
Actually, words are simply just a mask. They're a mask of the energy.
Hmm.
They're a mask of the intention,
Hmm.
right? That might sit underneath. We know this to be true. I mean, you could sit and and you're like, your mouth's saying one thing, but your energy is telling me something totally
Hmm.
different. We
Hmm.
will catch it in certain instances, right? When we feel
Yep.
like, yeah, I know you, words are coming out your mouth. Not sure what's happening there,
Right.
but
Right.
that's what's being said, right? Words
Hmm.
are truth.
Yeah.
Words
And
aren't
and
truth.
and I think that was where she was so conflicted. The confrontation was within herself because
Exactly.
what she forgot to remember was that people see in you what you see in them. So whatever she was seeing in them was a reflection, right? Back,
Mhm.
and she didn't like it,
Well,
right?
now here's
It's
the inference. Yeah.
yeah.
No,
Well,
continue.
well, one, because she didn't like how she was showing up in the energy with them. And like it's not their energy. It's the energy
Yeah.
of you.
So just to like put an added little something onto
Yeah.
that, we've had this conversation this week too, right?
Hmm.
Which is this. And I truly believe, and I will always say that I think our deepest desire is that of being seen.
Hmm.
Our deepest desire is that of being seen. Because in being seen, and I'm not just talking about being seen because Leah's on the call with me and she sees me, I'm talking about being seen as so authentically me that I can
Hmm.
show up with you in any moment and I know that you see me.
Hmm.
You see me, like the truth of me, right? Like,
Hmm.
and that I'm respected and that I'm adored or cherished or loved or you put the accepted or encouraged or all the things, right? All the things on top of it. But that being seen, it's only me that wants to be seen by me, right? Like, and the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, spirit, is consistently putting you in a position to see yourself, whether you like it or not, right? It's not always roses and puppy dogs. You get up in the morning, you look in the mirror, like, what is this that happened overnight, right? So it's not always like, I don't know how they do it in the movies. I swear she wakes up and it's like all the
Oh,
makeup. the things, right? You're like, never in my life am I going to look like this when I wake up in the morning. So it's not all roses and puppy dogs,
Mm-mm.
but there's an effort to be seen. So in that, again, it's yes, that they are a reflection back because the judgment she places out, the expectation she places out, the thing that she sees within them is the thing that she's not allowing herself to see within her. And until she has the opportunity to acknowledge that, until any of us have the opportunity to acknowledge that, I will never be able to see you for who you truly are. Because I will always only ever see you through the limitations that sit within me that I refuse to accept or acknowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Yes. Yes. Say
So
that
that,
again. Say that again.
oh boy,
Slow down in the saying of it.
I don't know if I can.
It
Those
was
things.
so good, right?
But I can't, I will never, ever be able to see you,
Mm-hmm.
who you truly are, until I acknowledge and accept the limitations that sit within me that I'm simply reflecting through you. The universe will consistently hit a playback for
Yes.
me. It's a reflection of me until I acknowledge whatever judgment, whatever perspective I have on you. Until I sit with that in me, she didn't pay attention to me. Where didn't I pay attention to myself? Where
Yes.
am I not seeing me? Where am
Yes.
I judgmental? Where am I critical? Where am I not enough? All of those, until you clear that, I'm only ever going to see you through the lens of my own limitations, and I'm not going to realize I'm doing it.
Nope. Nope. And I know that we've got a lot of type A leaders out there listening. So, I mean, as Cari just gave you two tools to bring this forward, to fast track to fast pace. I want to fast pace my unlearning
Oh,
because
please.
I know I learn way more in my unlearning than I ever do in my learning,
Yeah.
right? At least for me anyway.
Same,
And
same.
so as you were talking, like if you want a fast paced way to learn, unlearn, go to all the places that you should.
Mm.
You think people should be different. People should show up different. People should look different. People should talk different. People should be less lazy. People should be less, more on time, wherever you're shooting them, right? And wherever you're shooting yourself, if you play there, if you give yourself a half an hour and
Oh.
write down all of the things that all the ways that your life should be different
Mhm.
and all the ways that you should be different in the world and all the
Mhm.
ways that other people should be different, you will fast pace your unlearning because you clear up all of that judgment and you come to a place of just unconditional acceptance for what is.
Yep.
You will be able to see people differently. And not only is that a benefit to you and to the universe, but that gives you your peace back
Yes.
because your peace is completely robbed in your shoulds.
1,000%. 1,000%. I love that you bring that forward. It's the understanding of the limitations that lie within you that you're reflecting through somebody else.
Yes.
That's the most beautiful thing.
Yes. And your
Yeah.
limitations are always going to show up in shoulds,
Always. Always.
right? Where you limit yourself is where you should on yourself. And where you limit the humans around you is where you're
Yeah.
shooting on them as well.
Oh my gosh, Leah. Thank you for bringing us home with that.
Oh
I
my goodness.
love it. Oh my gosh, you guys, thank you so much for joining us today. We so appreciate you. We do see you, we acknowledge you, and really just are very hopeful that you're able to take one or two of these practices out of our conversation today to help begin the process of unlearning.
Yes. And together, we invite you to see you. We invite you to acknowledge and celebrate you. We do it, but it's never going to be enough.
Yeah.
Have a beautiful one, everybody. Take care.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
You have been listening to Shift Happens. Discover the leader within with Leah Rowling and Cari Kenzie, where we help you reconnect with your inner leader. Learn to trust your instincts and live with authenticity and confidence.
Tune in every Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time to Shift Happens on Transformation Talk Radio for more insights, inspiration, and actionable strategies to live and lead not only in purpose, but on purpose. It is time to embrace a life and a leadership style that is true to you. For more information, visit shift.life.